Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ
and Patrick,
and we're back talking all things real estate. And we just want to thank all of our subscribers and thank you all for joining with us. If you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to our channel. We are putting out regular content, 3 or 4 videos, and probably other content in addition to that is going to be coming up. So you want to make sure that you don't miss any of that. So please make sure that you subscribe. And, I think the other thing, Patrick, is we're heading into one of the busiest real estate seasons for us in Victoria, and probably in whatever other markets there are as well that are seasonal.
Typically, the spring market, here we come.
Here we go. And, I was just saying to Patrick, it feels like it's like the sports car at the set of lights where somebody's just revving the motor, ready to drop the clutch and go.
That's
right.
That's me. That's clients. That's
right. Yeah. That's what it feels like in terms of the market and talking to clients and so forth. So if you are thinking about your home, whether it's a purchase, whether it's a sale, or your business, whether it's a purchase or a sale, please reach out to us because we'd be happy to help you with that or answer any questions that you might have about what's going on.
We're going to get so much flack for this. Like, oh, you realtors, you guys are just pumping up the market, this Ponzi scheme, right? Of like prices going up. The market is what the market is. Like realtors don't really have any control over.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's between buyers and sellers, and we facilitate that transaction, and we guide our clients in finding the right home or going through the process to sell their home.
Yeah.
It's not that like we're pumping up the prices. It's only for us greedy realtors. Anyways. So, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. But I was like, wait a minute. We're going to get so many comments saying, you realtors. Well, anyways, moving on.
Okay. We're open to constructive comments. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have something constructive you want to say, maybe you don't agree with us. But it can't just be, like you said, the whole, well, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Well, show us where.
Yeah. What am I missing?
Where we're missing something.
Yeah. But in this video, we're talking about
from our palatial studios.
This is the palatial.
This is palatial. We got the fireplace, right? In the studio, our fireplace.
That's not even cultured stone. That's ledge stone. That's all like, it is cut, but it's not concrete.
Okay.
That's a real stone.
It's the real thing. It's the real deal. These are our palatial studios.
And that wood paneling is going to come back. I'm joking. I love wood paneling, right?
Yeah.
If wood paneling looked like this in my basement, I would have kept it.
Sure.
Because it would feel like an entrance to like hotels now, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. All right. But we're talking about the increase of immigrants leaving Canada. Right now, it's something like 31% more than the 10-year average is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but why? Why are they leaving?
My opinion, this is an opinion, you're going to give us the feedback, I guess, that we're getting.
Well, I'm going to give you more opinion after your opinion. You wait and see.
I think it's not necessarily the cost of housing, because a lot of these people that are coming on work visas and things like that, they're not necessarily looking for something to buy. They're looking for something to rent. I think one of the reasons that they're leaving is the cost of rents and the lack of, now we want to talk affordable housing, affordable rents and vacant properties that you'd feel safe living in.
Perfect. We did a video on this, right? Of rental prices have gone up, whatever, an increase of 30%, more than ever kind of thing.
Yeah.
Than so many decades increase in rent. Right. For like a national historic low vacancy rate across the country.
Yeah.
So how is that encouraging if somebody has the dream of home ownership one day? They could either ride it out, and now that the foreign buyer ban has been extended till 2027. Yeah. How is that encouraging to new immigrants to Canada, newcomers, that they're gonna achieve like the Canadian dream of home ownership. So like, well, or maybe like job opportunities maybe didn't work out.
Sure.
Right. Because there's difficulties in bringing licenses and certifications over to transfer.
Yep.
Over here.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think you're onto something with the rental.
Yeah. I have a part two to that, which I think is the adjustment to being that far away from your family.
Okay.
Right?
Because you have to make new friends, and it's still like you don't get to see your family because they might be far away still.
Sure. And I'll use an example where you can get busy doing stuff that you still have to do, right? But as a result, you can lose touch with family that are overseas in terms of seeing them on a somewhat regular basis, interacting with them and things like that. And I think about this is, I was recently in India visiting my family, and I hadn't seen them I'd seen them digitally and talked to them digitally, but I hadn't seen them in person now. It was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just went like that. And you realize it's different for me because I've been in the country since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
It's different for me because this is my home. They're my family and I love to visit, but this is my home. But what if it's the other way around and you've come here and now you have to rebuild your friend relationships and try and maintain and strengthen your family relationships with siblings, with parents, with grandparents, and they're on the other side of the world. And it's not just as easy as, well, I can get them on WhatsApp anytime. Well, it's not quite that simple. It's a lot easier now than it was. But, the other thing is time zone differences.
Oh, like being able to right, because India, when we were looking at this, it's like 10 and a half hours time difference from here.
Yeah.
Right, so just scheduling it out.
Yeah, like you're calling India in the evening to call them the next morning. Or vice versa, you're calling them in the morning to call them
before they go to bed.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's another part of it is the reality of what that looks like and feels like now it's not just one thing. I think you have that and then add to it the difficulty of the rental situation and everything else like that. And then I have number 3, which is the weather.
Right.
If you're, and this depends on where you're going to be in the country, but if you're coming from a tropical country and let's say you end up like I was as a young child in northern Alberta, for me, it just becomes normal because I grew up in northern Alberta. I grew up in
4
Edmonton.
4 years old, you just get used to it.
That's winter. But what about, what about my parents?
Oh yeah, it's a big adjustment.
Right? That's a big adjustment for sure. Or maybe you end up on the East Coast and you're in Halifax. How about a winter storm out there?
Oh, I remember being out, and this is like one example. It doesn't mean like this is like every year, but like summer didn't start till July.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like
so
it was cool. It was sweater weather until it was like the very end of June.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like that here. We have
Sure.
like a January in Victoria.
Yeah. And we used to always say in Edmonton, you didn't bring out your motorcycle until the May long weekend.
Okay. Yeah. That's when you insure it.
You're good after that. Yeah. But the point is, we have such different weather and such sometimes extreme seasons, not always. But you start putting all these things together, okay? You've got the rents are higher and the availability, the vacancy rate is low, okay? Now you've got, on top of that, you're not as close to your family and family connections. And now you've got the weather to deal with, which is a completely different animal than you're used to if you're coming from a tropical country.
I could see all of those things and then add on I know we touched on financially difficult a little bit, but I saw this great headline. I'm not sure who published this. And they were saying like our housing policies are nationalistic. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, I know what it means, but I just wanted to see like, well, what are you saying to back that up?
Yeah.
A foreign buyer ban, this an underused tax that federally across Canada for property, things like that. And then getting permanent residency in Canada. I was just thinking like What about even the backlog before the foreign buyer ban, that people have been here for 10 years or 12 years, and maybe they don't spend their time full time here, but the majority is here.
Yeah.
They could qualify for a permanent residency, but now the interest rates are high.
Okay.
You know, they've
Yeah.
maybe you've been waiting here long enough to get your permanent residency, and at the time where oh yes, I'm a permanent resident, and the circumstances are not ideal or more difficult, where you might think like, okay, that's it, that's enough. I'm going to go somewhere else for other opportunities.
Right.
Because I don't think we just leave for the sake of leaving because it's not easy here.
Yeah.
Because somewhere else has to like draw you either
Sure.
back to family or somewhere else
Or another center. Yeah. Because
job
I don't,
opportunity, right?
and that's what I would say is I don't think it's one thing,
Yeah.
right? It's a whole bunch of things together. And
The rental thing must be like a big part of it.
Sure.
Affordability.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other part is maybe you find a better market to move to instead.
My wife brought up a good a point. She's like, some people just move around.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, they've been working in Abu Dhabi, and then they heard Canada's right. Let's try out the West Coast in Canada. It's beautiful there. Heard a lot about it, and then they come here, and they, some people just move around. They're just
Yeah.
a little bit more transient, right?
Sure, yeah.
They may never buy. They might
Yeah.
take their skills and work, and they just might not ever settle down. So,
Sure.
with technology, there's more people that can work remotely. Like, do you even have
Yeah.
to be in the province? Do you have to be in Canada to do that job? So, I think with technology, there's going to be some flexibility. And if they can,
Yeah.
if they can make that same amount of income, relatively, maybe they would choose like a different location.
Sure.
With less taxes.
Less taxes.
Right? Because if you're if you're in that higher income group, like let's say a little above average,
Yeah.
you're gonna get dinged pretty hard on taxes, right? So that's one of our,
Yeah.
when we talk about affordability, that's one of our highest personal costs.
Yeah.
Like it's not rent, it's not your mortgage,
Yeah.
it's income tax.
Income tax, sure.
Once you start getting above average.
Sure. It's 40%, 45%.
Yeah, so you lose almost half of your juice to the government,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
So-
the rest is on the back taxes for
Yeah.
provincial things.
Yeah. But put all of that together,
Yeah.
right?
You might
that-
feel that you have a better chance somewhere
else. I don't think it's maybe not necessarily one thing, but if you put it all together, then it becomes one of these things may be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it's still a picture or a composite of a bigger picture, right?
I think that's the best way to put it. Like it's not one thing. I think there's big factors like the ones we mentioned, but there we go. I think it's mostly to do with that rental crisis,
Sure.
and we have a taxation crisis.
Taxation
it's
crisis.
chronic, right?
It's not a crisis. It's just the norm.
It's just there.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. What if interest rates come down? Would we see less foreign new immigrants leaving Canada?
Maybe.
What would need to be changed?
Maybe. But they still need to have enough for the down payment.
They do. Yeah.
Anybody, not just them. Any purchaser obviously still needs to be putting aside something for their down payment.
I had numbers. What it costs for new immigrants to come to Canada for like their. I guess there's. I'm not sure of what it is, but there's costs to like coming to Canada, and what was the average amount of money per new immigrant coming to Canada? How much money are they bringing? And it was like they're bringing about an average of $40,000 in savings each.
Okay.
I don't know if that counts kids, but like that's an average, and I don't know exactly. Like,
Sure.
it could be a little bit manipulated, right?
Yeah, of course.
But the cost of like coming to Canada is still like could be somewhere like 15,000, 25,000, depending on what province you're coming to.
Yeah.
So there's challenges.
Yeah.
Like, if they've made it this far, they've expended a lot of money and
Yeah.
effort to come here.
Sure, yeah.
So I think it's
Nobody just
just up and leave from
yeah,
that, right?
Yeah. And nobody just up and leaves from a home or a country that they were in just because they thought, hey, well, let's try it. It sounds like a good idea. there's some
Yeah, it's not just a European vacation.
there's some
right?
forethought and things that have gone into this. So these are decisions that are made from one side, and to decide not to go through with it or to do something different is also something that isn't flippantly done, I don't think. So
I don't think those numbers include any like temporary workers or temporary students. I think that number is excluded.
yeah, it would make sense, because if you're coming here on a student visa, the expectation is you will leave when that visa expires, unless you get a work visa and you get a job associated with it.
Yeah, and I think the last explanation that I could put on this, that we have an increase of 30%, is we also have a record number of new immigrants arriving to Canada.
Right.
Where we
Sure.
have, like, with the last, let's say, 5 years, with a little bump with COVID,
Yeah.
we're steadily increasing. And I think the number is almost like 500,000 for 2023. So if we have an increase year over year, and now we have, let's say, a failure rate of retention,
Yeah.
well, we have that many more people here.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a ratio that's going to be consistent, instead of like looking at a percentage that's like,
Sure.
oh no, look at all these people leaving Canada. I think it's just the numbers getting higher.
Yeah,
that's all.
that's a great way to put it together, I think. So, you know what? That's it for today. Thank you for joining us. And again, if you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out up to 4 episodes a week right now, and that number is going to go higher as we get into the better weather and we get out vlogging and into the neighborhoods and things like that. If there's something that you think we should be talking about, please put it in the comments. Or if you have something coming up in the Greater Victoria area, because we're heading into that season, and you'd like to see us come out and vlog at your event, let us know. We'd be happy to come and join in the community, right?
Hey, if you're one of those people that are thinking about leaving Canada, and you have some reasons, what was like the primary reason that's taking you away from Canada? We'd love to hear about it. Put that in the comments below. If you've left Canada, tell us those reasons why too. If it was a different opportunity, maybe you couldn't stand Canada. Maybe it just wasn't meeting your expectations, or a lot of people have said, like, Canada is not the same as it was 20 years ago.
It's true.
Let us know. Right?
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting for other people to read those comments.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to do that as well. But thank you for joining us in this video. We will catch you in the next one.
See ya.